And I just did a call out. I did a very small newspaper article about what I had available to everyone in their community. And my phone didn't stop. It literally just went ballistic. And I knew then, 15 years ago, that this was a conversation that we needed to have. And I wanted to be the person to make a really loud noise and to normalize mental health. And for us to all start supporting each other so that we can be better members of our community, that we can be stronger, happier, healthier. And that's how it started.
Welcome to the Growth Life Podcast, where we celebrate individuals and their stories about moments where they were courageous enough to embrace uncertainty, brave enough to love diversity, and smart enough to realize that they don't know everything. The Growth Life Podcast shares stories of growth in all areas: careers, mindset, relationships, wealth, and health.
Hello, Growth Life. We're here with the beautiful Marina Passalaris. She's my new partner. She's from Australia, and she's absolutely magnificent. In fact, this is going to be a very famous podcast one day because you'll be able to look back and say, wow, those two did a podcast, and it was a little hectic when they started, but man, did everything that they talked about on that podcast not only come true, but exceed all expectations. Why? Well, Marina runs a little, beautiful, amazing organization, and I'm saying little right now in the scope of how huge it's going to be, in Australia, called Beautiful Minds. And it's the leading provider for self-esteem, for and confidence, and workshops. Don't let me leave those out, for preteens, boys and girls. And it's absolutely phenomenal. And I'm not going to read the whole bio because I'm going to do more. I really want to get into the interview here. But I want all of you to kind of recognize that this work is so beautifully authentic. And this is why we call it Beautiful Minds, because it aligns exactly to where they are, right? While actually showing them that they're unique, beautiful gifts in this world. And then it helps redirect them to their gifts, their visions, to really be the best that they can be in any and every area of life. Not so focused on being a celebrity or being rich, but really what value do you bring to the world? And how do we help you get your fulfillment while you're learning how to provide that value in your own unique, beautiful way from wherever you are, right? And I think that in speaking to her about that early on, it really, really, really excited me. And I got so enthusiastic about finding a way to work with her. So we partnered with her and we put things aside because this is the creator's work. This is beyond just a good idea or beyond just us going out doing good work. This is work that's absolutely needed. The other part I love about Marina is that she represents what we all focus on, and that's called global world, a global footprint, a global home. We're all connected, we're all one, and it's an opportunity for all of us to start not just saying it, but actually acting that way, working together, and actually moving our identities, that global identity, to the next level. So I have the privilege of interviewing Marina today, and I just want to ask her some questions and just allow her to speak. And what I want all of us to be able to take away from this, whether we're a preteen listening to this, whether we're an adult or we're an older adult, remember we're all children at heart, all of us. And we can learn some things, we can reflect on some things, we can remember some things from this beautiful interview today. So hi, Marina.
Good morning. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way to introduce the work that we're all doing. So thank you so much.
I love it. I love you and my team. It has nothing but beautiful things to say about you. And I look forward to our present and our future. So very, very pumped about this.
Well, it's early on Saturday morning in Sydney, Australia, and it's such a joy to be speaking to you and just to be sharing, the message that we're both bringing to the world in the next couple of months. So it's a real honor to be here.
Absolutely. And I want to just really, I want you to, again, speak from the heart like you always do. And I just put that frame out there for people so that they get that that's exactly what you're doing. And I want to just ask you some really, really beautiful questions around beautiful, beautiful minds. What provoked you to actually start Beautiful Minds? What is the leverage or the catalyst behind you starting this whole movement?
It was interesting. When I was about 14 or 15 years of age, I had really chronic acne. And it was probably one of the worst cases of acne that my doctors in South Africa had ever seen. It was everywhere. And when you're a young girl and you're going out into the world and this feels very ugly, it has a very damaging effect on your confidence. And it was so interesting because I was so desperate to heal this acne that I would take any medication that the doctors would throw my way. And through the journey of trying to heal the acne, a lot of the medication that I was taking was causing really chronic anxiety and a mixture of depression. And for many years, this anxiety and depression went undiagnosed, and I didn't talk about it. I didn't even know what it was. And, when you think about 22, 23 years ago, we were just not having these conversations. And when I left school, the only thing that I knew that I wanted to do was to be around really beautiful people. Because I felt that if I could be in an industry where there were really beautiful people, I was hoping that some of their beauty would rub off on me. And so I landed up getting a job as a model booker and working with some of the top supermodels in the world. And these were girls and guys, but predominantly girls that were going and being photographed for Vogue magazine and appearing on some of the biggest catwalks in the world. And after years of working in this really beautiful industry, I actually worked out pretty quickly that these stunning human beings hated themselves more than I did, more than I hated myself. And here they were so exquisite. And they were coming to me at the agency with all sorts of issues, whether it was low self-esteem, whether they were self-harming, whether they were being abused by the photographers that they were working with and just not talking about it. And, when our family finally immigrated to Australia years ago, I got another job in a modeling agency and I pitched this idea to them. And I said to them, and this was 15 years ago, I said to them, let's create this incredible program that we can support the health and well-being of young people before they go out and they do their modeling and their castings. And the agency had a really great opportunity at that time to be the forefront of this because no one was doing it. And I remember the agency owner turned around to me and she said, we don't care what they think. We don't care what they feel. We just need them to look good in the photos. And when you have that aha moment where you just go, wow, I can't be here anymore because I'm done. Like I've come to the end. And I literally I quit. I put this program together with psychologists and parenting experts. And at that stage in Australia, there was no one going into schools having these mental health conversations. And I just did a call out. I did a very small newspaper article about what I had available to everyone in their community. And my phone didn't stop. It literally just went ballistic. And I knew then, 15 years ago, that this was a conversation that we needed to have. And I wanted to be the person to make a really loud noise and to normalize mental health. And for us to all start supporting each other so that we can be better members of our community, that we can be stronger, happier, healthier. And that's how it started.
That's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And this story took a different twist than I thought it would take. we are all victims of this in some way. And that's what I love, because I look at you now, and physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, you're beautiful. And it means nothing, right? If it doesn't start from that core. I really love that. And I love that you talked about the mental health aspects of it. So, and you kind of answered this, but I want to stay consistent with some of the questions that I'm asking here. Why is it important in this culture to teach these principles to young adults, to preteens?
You know, it's so interesting, because when I started this work all those years ago, I set the age range for teenagers, and I wanted to focus on 12 to 17-year-olds. And over the last couple of years, I've realized that our younger girls and boys need it as much. They need to set that solid foundation from the age of 7 to actually then lead them into being a stronger, healthier teen. And I just think with mental health in general, you know, when you and I are unwell and we've got a cold or we've got a sore throat or something's going on, we go to the doctor. We talk about the fact that we're perhaps going to the doctor with our family and friends. We get what we need to in order to move forward and get healed. And that's it. It's very normal for us to do that. But we don't have the same approach when it comes to mental health. And I just think it's the most bizarre thing. We've got this focus on getting everything else fixed in our world except ourselves. You know, we buy a new car and we get told that after a certain amount of kilometers, we have to go and get it serviced in order for it to be viable to be back on the road driving, moving forward. But we don't do that with ourselves. And that's the work that we do at Beautiful Minds. It is all about prevention, right? And giving
What's so interesting is in America, and I want to know if it's this way in Australia. When you say mental health, the stereotype is that you're crazy, or that you're off, or it's a real strike to your identity, or it's permanent. So for people that have mental health issues, to say that they had it would be probably worse than wearing a scarlet letter, right? Right. So what you're saying is that mental health is not bad or good. We all have it. And what is yours? How do you measure yours?
Absolutely. And, you know, we, as human beings, we are fundamentally flawed in some way. We're all going to go through something. We're going to lose a partner. We're going to become unwell. We're going to have anxiety. We're going to go through something that's going to challenge us in our world. And that's a given. But what our programs do is give young people and families the tools to equip them to deal with it faster and to be able to understand who they are internally. What is happening here? What messages are you being sent every single day so that you can make the right choices for yourself, and that mentally you are so strong that you just keep moving forward.
That's so beautiful. I really want the world to hear this, and I really want to do another interview where we hear this again. I think you can't hear this enough. What Marina said is mental health, not mental disability, not mental flaw. She said mental health. We all have it. We all have physical health. We have mental health. How's your mental health? How is it? Can you put a gauge on it? Do you have any awareness around it? And and again, every age matters, right? If you're listening to this, what's your mental health? Is there any focus there whatsoever? And I want you guys to all think about that and get past the instant sort of pattern that hits you that says something is wrong with me for even listening to this. I love that.
It's so interesting, Rod. I always talk to our young people and our families, and one of the things that concerns me about the way that we're brought up in today's current society is that there's such a focus on being fit, being active, getting out there and having about 20 minutes to half an hour of exercise every single day. And that's great because we need it. That keeps our body healthy. But when have you ever heard someone turn around to you and say, from a young age, this also needs to be trained every single day. This muscle up here can be so strong and so powerful if you exercise it for 20 minutes every single day of your life. So we talk a lot about mind exercise, and what are you doing every single day to get your mind in a state that it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. That's powerful.
That's very powerful. We talk a lot about nutrition, but never mind nutrition. And everything starts on a mental level. Everything starts on a mental plane. Now, do you think that's purposeful? How did it get this way? I mean, people listening are saying, this is so obvious. Why isn't it taught right from the get-go? Like, was it some conspiracy to control people by not having them put focus on mental health? Do they want us to be mental sick? That's what my sons would say. You know, they're all into the conspiracy things. They were like, Dad, it's the system that wants you to be mentally sick. What do you think about that? Why is it that way, Marina?
I think that, there's some great conspiracy theories out there, and I do think that definitely doctors that are medicating people that perhaps don't need to be medicated, and there are a lot of people that do need to be medicated, so it's an individual case. But I do think that we service the community better if everyone's unwell, right? Because then there's pills being sold, there's all sorts of stuff happening. But we owe to ourselves as human beings to lead the best life possible. And unfortunately, along the way, we may not get blessed with the best parents. We may have a bad experience that comes along the way. And these sort of life experiences that happen sometimes knock us down. And this is where, along comes the work that you and I are both doing in the world to lift these people up and to support them and to say to them, you actually have it is your duty of care as a human being to be the best version of you.
Marina, is mental dis-ease permanent?
No, not at all. Not at all. If we had enough time, I could sit down and share with you the crippling anxiety that I went through. And it was really interesting because the Daily Mail in the UK did a really interesting story on my anxiety. They got so bad that it was classed as agoraphobia. And there was months of time that I just couldn't leave the bedroom because I was so terrified with the outside world. And, I remember sitting in my room and working through this absolute sheer living nightmare of how I was going to try and repair my mind and how I was going to fix myself. Because I had a moment one day when I was quite a bit younger and I was sitting in front of a psychologist and I thought, I've been to 12 psychologists and it doesn't matter what they say. If they're sitting in front of me and I'm not prepared to do the work, it doesn't matter who I see. And I went home that day and I started reading books and I started listening to podcasts and I made the decision to change who I was. And I made the decision to make my mind stronger. And it didn't happen overnight. And there were really long patches to get to the place that I needed to get to. But I had to do the work. And so when we talk about a mental health issue, you can overcome anything. I'm not that person anymore. I don't have the anxiety anymore. So every single thing that we come up against as a challenge in this human body, we have the power to fix it. We are our greatest strength, but we can also be our greatest weakness. And we need to choose which way we want to go.
That's so beautiful. So what is the benefit? Okay, so I do this beautiful mind and this Own It program that's coming out and all of these people that say they love me and care about me and they really want me to build my self-esteem and develop confidence. If I never had a taste of those things, what's the benefit? Like, okay, how is it different than what I am now?
It's really interesting. I've read a lot of self-help books in my life, and I think there's some great ones out there, and there are a lot that are very fluffy. And the work that you and I do, I think the difference with it is that it gives individuals really solid tools on how to move forward. So it's like someone giving you a recipe and saying, if you put the egg and the flour and the sugar in this order, you will get a beautiful cake. And that's what we aim to do with our work, is to give people solid strategies that they can take and that they can move forward with. And there may be a lot of people that are listening to this that haven't had a great life's experience up to now. But don't you want to feel what a good life feels like? Don't you want to know that the career that you're in is really filling up your soul and your heart? Don't you want to know that the relationships that you are having with other people make you feel incredible? And you may not have had it, but it is possible to get. And so you've got to kind of open yourself up to this work and allow the process and yourself. You've got to put your hand up first and say you want to do it, but you've got to allow the process to take over and to help you forward.
There's only one thing that you deserve in life. Everything else, the word deserve is of service, and people really go about it the wrong way sometimes, but there are some things you deserve. You deserve the right for fulfillment. You deserve the right to feel joy in your heart, no matter where you came from, no matter what your situations are. You deserve the right to allow your heart to lead for a bit so that you can understand how that feels. Your body is full of these beautiful chemicals that will serve you if you allow them to serve you. And we want you to all. And so the beautiful thing about life, no matter what your situation, there's always that little glimpse of joy that nobody can touch. And all of you have felt it at one time. And you might be a little afraid to allow it to come forward or to put things in place because you think you would be so disappointed if it leaves you. And what we want to tell you here is that we don't want to give it to you. We want to show you how to give it to yourself so you're responsible and no one can give it to you or take it away, only you. And that's the beautiful thing about a beautiful mind. A beautiful mind is a mind that is motivated from the internal sources, not the external sources. By your heart, your motives, your intentions, your belief systems, your identity. And that's the beautiful, and this is why I love this woman, and that's why we're working with this woman, because we're very, very consistent in that way. Marina, what are 3 beliefs, and I know I'm putting you here on the spot, and I want to frame this because the beautiful things about all of our programs, and I say beautiful a lot because it's in my mind, so leave me alone. The beautiful thing about all of these programs is that they really focus on you developing your own belief systems, your own vision, your own habits in your own unique way. What we do is we give you the principles, the bounds, the laws, right? Gravity is going to work. So showing you how to use gravity is very, very important to be successful, because gravity is going to always work the way gravity works. So what we want to offer you, though, sometimes is we want to offer you some of our belief systems, some of our experiences, so that you can actually have a reference point. If you like what I'm getting and you want to model some of the things that I've absolutely, accomplished in my life, then if I tell you my beliefs, I'm being very vulnerable, and you have a right now to accept those beliefs or modify those beliefs, but model those beliefs in a way that's going to help you get very similar results. So I wanted to have a long frame because I'm going to ask Marina if she could give 3 beliefs to these young, beautiful, loving people that get the opportunity to look and listen to this podcast and look at the shadows going in front of my face. I want her to, what would be 3 belief systems that you would want to gift to people? 3 belief systems that you would want young ladies and young men, young women and young men to listen to accept. And I know this is a bit outside of the bounds, but 3 beliefs that are fundamental to you and you believe are fundamental to all people.
It's an easy one. I believe that as a human being, if we give back to our community in some capacity, that makes us a stronger person emotionally, because as soon as we are of service to others, there's something really special that happens, because we feel that we have a place in society, and we feel that we are of value to the community around us. So I do believe that that's one of the most important things that we can do as a human being. So if you are watching this podcast and you think, well, how can I do it? Start with something small. Go to your local old age home and sit down and have a coffee with someone who probably hasn't had a guest for weeks on end. If you love animals, go to your animal shelter and brush dogs for an hour and just focus on being mindful and present with what you're doing, and get back in touch with nature. Give back in a way that you're able to give back, and that will make you feel that you have purpose. That's number one. Number two, I believe that we need to feel that we've got the right people around us. I believe that your friends and your family and the community of people that you spend your time with, you need to select very carefully. I don't have a lot of friends. I have a couple of people that I really, really invest a lot of time in, and they add so much quality to my life. So I believe in quality over quantity when it comes to friends. That's my second point. And my third point is that you are the most important person when it comes to selecting what is right for you. You know what you need. Your body tells you every single day. So go with your gut. And one of my favorite sayings is, when in doubt, don't. So if you're feeling that something doesn't resonate with you, don't ignore it. Honor that message, because it's coming through us. People go to clairvoyance and try and get answers from external forces. They're all here. It's all here. Just stop, be still, and listen. And every answer that you need in your life is right there for you. That's number 3.
Those are so absolutely beautiful. And you think about it, a fundamental human need is to really build your self-esteem. And one of the things around building self-esteem is that's all through every program that we're working on. Building self-esteem comes in a very tremendous way when you decide to contribute. When you're contributing, when you're giving to someone else without expecting anything else in return, you're telling your nervous system that I'm worthy to do that. It's probably the most worthy, because only the most worthy, strong, powerful people give things away and not expect anything in return. Some of us are waiting until we're confident and we're rich and we have all of these resources to do it. No, folks, no. The mind does, you already are rich, you already are beautiful, and that's the whole point. So you go be that way now. You be that way now and watch what happens to your mind and to your spirit. Watch what happens. I love that. Number 2 is that there's a law. There's a couple of laws out there, and this is the power of these belief systems. Number 1, that really builds your self-esteem. The number 2 belief system that Marina brought up was so powerful, because the people that you communicate with most, and remember this law, the people that you choose to be around and communicate with, will influence you, or you will influence them. And whoever has more certainty and conviction in the way they are is going to influence the other person. Whether you say every day, I'll never be this way, I'll never do this, unconsciously, the mind is going to pick up on what you are around, right? It's called the law of environment, law of communication. So if I communicate with that person consistently, unconsciously, I'm going to start modeling that person, or they're going to start modeling me. So look at the results you have in your life. Look at the 10 people you communicate with most. Engage them on a level 1 through 10 on being positive and optimistic, right? And focused on a compelling future. And if they're below 5, folks, start looking at your results and start recognizing that you can have great intention, but the people you're communicating with is falling below that line of what we call beautiful intentional influence. And you, again, so intent is no longer good enough. It's never been good enough. Now you got to understand, good is not enough. Good intent is not enough. You have to be intelligent and you have to understand principle. And the third belief is really, really powerful. I just went through a course and they were saying that the doctors were saying that we have 3 brains, not one. We have a brain here, we have a brain in our heart, and we have a brain in our gut. In fact, they're teaching gut, like if you want to talk about physical health, your gut is like the brain of your physical health, your stomach, this is where everything happens. This is where life happens, right? This is how we got here. All of us, we were in the belly. And so there's so much beautiful things going on there. There's so much science and biology. But from a decision-making perspective, you would hear people say, it was my gut instinct, or it was in my heart, or I thought about it. Those are the 3 things that people talk about when they're thinking, when they're making decisions about what's best for them. Listen to what she's saying. It's so absolutely important. All a psychic can do is read what you have in you and tell you. Otherwise, they would all be so rich that we wouldn't be talking to them. They'd be off in their yacht somewhere because that's what they would use it for. They would just use it for the market, or they would, But the reason they can't do that, and the reason a lot of them very accurate, is because they have the gift of listening to your gut because you won't. We pay them to listen to our hearts because we won't. We pay them to really, really tap into our intuition because we won't do it. We allow fear, insecurity, and comparing ourselves to everyone around us to take away all of those beautiful beautiful gifts that we have inside of us that's constantly communicating our own uniqueness, our own gifts, and our own amazing, compelling future. So I love those 3 belief systems. I couldn't think of 3 that were better. And I promise you, she did not know that I was going to ask her those questions. If you doubt us, don't, because we are telling the truth. That is so amazing. I have one more question that I wrote down here, and I'm gonna. Yes. And this is going to be a good one, guys, because again, remember this shadow-filled, goofy interview on my part and how beautiful she is on her part. And I want you to, this is going to be a famous one. One day we're going to be on Oprah, and Oprah's going to say, why did you have the trees going back and forth? Why didn't you plan? Why didn't you? And I want to say, Oprah, because this is special, and the trees were part of it. That's what I'm going to say to Oprah. The last one is, what is your vision for this work that we're going to be doing together? This work that you, again, when you're coming from a beautiful heart place like this, what is your vision for the value that we're going to create together? And I'll leave it there. I'll let you answer that.
The vision for me is with the physical workshops that we run all over Australia. We're in 935 cities at the moment, and that's great. And we're running workshops all over the country, one-day workshops. We can only reach a certain amount of people. And the vision for the work that we're doing with, the Own It program and all the other programs that we've got coming out in the future is that this becomes a global communication that is accessible to everyone. Because one of the things that I think every single human deserves and is entitled to is education to support them from a mental health point of view. It's not something that it should be a privilege, it should be something that, with the help of you and your incredible team, we are going to be having more podcasts and conversations to gift content out to the universe. And so the vision for this program is that it, goes globally, and that it has an enormous reach that helps really make life-changing patterns in the way that young people and parents, live in the day-to-day life. And I just really want us to start looking at the education that we're giving in schools for young people globally, and how we can perhaps support people in schools in a lot more of a powerful way. I think it's crazy that you finish at the end of year 12 and you know how to dissect a frog, but you have no idea who you are as a human being. And so the work that we're doing is to make a really loud noise and to put out the right content that is being researched by the top people in the world, to bring in things that are credible and tools that they can use to see huge change in their world. That's my vision.
That is absolutely so beautiful. And I want to say this right now for all of you that heard that, and I want you to just, again, take a deep breath in and just listen to what she was saying and know that this has absolutely already happened. Okay? It's already happened. It's already happened on the mental plane, the emotional plane, the spiritual plane. And it's about to happen on a physical plane, which means that we're going to need your help, right? We're going to need your support. There's a lot of people in this world, and every time we get out there and we help someone, there are going to be new babies born. There are going to be new countries that we can go into. I can't wait to go into Africa and China and New Zealand, and I don't know why I put New Zealand third after those two. The U.S. needs it bad, probably more than anybody, right? The United States needs it so bad right now. Mexico, Spain, right? We want to make sure that we put all of our energy into supporting people that want to support us. And so, again, this interview, this friendship, this connection, this communication is something I want you to keep in your mind, because it's coming. And in the way we laid it out, the way we're communicating right now, the congruency in the program, the integrity in the program, the inclusiveness of the program for anyone and everyone, no matter what your faith, your gender, your religion, everybody's invited. And we're coming from a heart space. And so I want you to remember, we want to take this all over the world. It's bigger than a vision. It's what must happen. Mental health is everywhere. If you're alive, you have mental health. Your mental health might be functional. It might be massively dysfunctional. We want to be the first line of support for wherever you are. We want to align and redirect you towards your gifts, towards your joy, and ultimately towards your beautiful mind. Marina, do you have anything that you want to say to these lovely people as we wrap up this interview?
I think, for everyone who's watching, I would love you to just take a minute today to write down a couple of things in your world that you would love to change, a couple of things that you feel are perhaps not working, and just document, literally journal a few things. It doesn't need to take longer than 5 or 10 minutes. But you have had all this content that's been thrown at you for the last couple of minutes, and I want you to sit down and go, what's not working in my life and what would I like to change? And really think about it, because we want to help you change those things. We want to help you to feel supported. And at the end of the day, I think something that we are starting, which is really special, is this community to make sure that, as Rod said, you're all included. So let's start with you thinking about what's happening in your world at the moment and how can we move you forward.
That's beautiful. Guys, we're going to end it there. Thank you so much for your time. And please know that we're going to be coming back to you pretty consistently with these interviews. I have so much more to learn from this woman. so much more to ask of this woman and so much more for me to pull out of her to share with you. So have a beautiful, beautiful day. Please do your homework. You guys didn't think you were going to get homework. You have homework. So there. We're going to work on your mental health right now. So pull out your pens and do it. Watch this podcast again if you need to. And you know what? Recognize when you look into the mirror tonight, look for your own unique, beautiful mind. Love you guys, and we'll see you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for catching this episode of the Growth Life Podcast. Join us at growth-u.com. That's growth-u.com.